Hey, what's up, you guys? Jas out here in Singapore, and as always, thank you so much for joining me on the Night Owl podcast. You guys, this is my little place, my little corner of the world where I've kind of carved out some time and carved out some energy for me to just kind of unload and talk to you about the things that I've experienced in my life, things that I've come across, things that have been on my mind for a little bit, and that could come from anywhere, to be honest. I've been working so much on my connection with Source, and it's become the kind of connection where I'm just open to life surprising me. I'm open to being inspired at any given moment. I'm not looking for a specific way that it needs to be delivered to me. Yeah, for a long time I've been looking at posts, I've been looking at what people are talking about because it gives me an idea, like a temperature gauge of what's going on in the community at the moment. But more than that, I see a lot of theories. I see a lot of philosophy that I had never considered before, and so I get a chance to really, dig into it. Now, the other day I was contemplating a post, and I needed to kind of take a breath and think about what it is that I wanted to say. And it's been on my mind a lot, and it's part of the reason that I plan so far out ahead with my content sometimes, and then sometimes I don't plan at all. So one of the things that popped up was the idea that, you have weight in your hands, and if you want some help because it's a physical weight, you're holding something that may be a little bit heavier than you're used to, you're allowed to ask for help. Now, in that case, no problem, you can ask for help. No one's really going to judge you about much. Okay, I can see you have like 10,000 bags. Don't insist on carrying all of it by yourself. Please, ask me. I'll be happy to help you, that kind of thing. When it's inside the house, it's a little bit more like nagging, but if you need some help with, the household chores, cleaning up, making sure that, the house is well taken care of, the machine that is your home, is working in good order, you usually try to ask for many hands to help you out to make light of the work. But why is it not the same when it comes to mental health? Why do we worry so much and think 1,000 more times before we even venture out to ask anybody? And even then, we've like vetted everybody in our minds, right? Who would be the least judgmental? Who might actually say yes? We're not going to ask you because you're the closest person to us. We're going to ask you whether or not you're going to say yes. That's the basis for why we ask in the first place. But why is it that way? Why do we feel the need to keep all of these burdens to ourselves? And that's basically what this entire podcast is about: the burden, right? The burden of heavy things in our hands, heavy things on our shoulders, heavy things in our lives, heavy things on our minds. When it comes to things on our minds, though, we are so much more hesitant to share any of those things. Why? Because we're worried about what people may think of us. We're worried about whether we can tell people the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and maybe, just maybe, they might be able to put themselves in our shoes and understand where it is that we're coming from for a moment. So let me give you a couple of examples from my own life, right? I've had situations where baby girl is just in a foul ass mood, and I can't for the life of me figure out why, and I correct her on something that is homework related, which I'm supposed to. I'm not correcting her, I'm correcting the work that she put forward, meaning to say that she's 10, I'm expecting her to make mistakes, and it's my job to kind of guide her on her way so she learns why some of these things are mistakes so she can avoid them in the future. Very simple concept. But the fact that it's not easy to explain or easy to tell her that something's wrong, another concept entirely. So here I am trying to let her know that, hey, you know what? I'm proud of you. You're getting the work done. You're focusing. You got a lot more done than the last time you tried this. And there are still a couple grammatical mistakes, but let's work on those so that when you get to the teacher, she won't see any mistakes at all, and you'll feel like a champion. You got it all done. But that's not what was going through her mind, you see, and I could see her face kind of contorting a little bit. I could see her gritting her teeth. I could see her balling up her fists. I could see there's a temper tantrum coming. But I also know that I've done my level best not to raise my voice. I have not chastised her or called her stupid or any of those things. I try really hard not to do those things because I know how damaging it can be. So eventually I took a break and I was like, you know what, let's just walk away from this for a little bit and let's see what else we can get done. Well, the break was definitely necessary, but she looked up with me with these big puppy dog eyes, and I could see the tears welling up. It's almost like she breathed a sigh of relief because I finally gave her a chance to take a break because it was becoming overwhelming. But my corrections on her paper that she was working on right then and there were not the only thing on her mind. When I finally got her to unburden herself and let me know what was going on so I could share in whatever it is that was stressing her out, she told me that I was not the first person to correct her today. She'd come home from school and she'd been corrected all day by all these teachers. She had been corrected by a couple of her friends. She felt like she was failing because she wasn't getting the best marks, and she knows she's smarter than that. So she was holding all of this stuff. She was reminding herself that, yes, see, this is proof. Your mom's even correcting you, and these people corrected you too. And she was remembering and reminding herself and reliving some of those moments from just the last 24 hours. And it was so much that she was beating herself down that all it took was for me to really probe. And I mean, like, I can't say, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? She's going to make me work for it, right? She's going to be like deer caught in the headlights. She's going to go through the silent treatment. She doesn't want to open up at all. And finally, when I get her to be like, look, it's not a big deal. I can help you with this. You don't have to sit through this by yourself. Tell me. This girl just broke into tears. She was bawling and she couldn't figure out why. She was telling me, I don't even know why I'm crying. It's not that big a deal, but I am so upset. I am so hurt. I feel like I can't win for losing. I feel like nothing I do is ever going to be enough. I'm not going to get enough traction where I can actually like dig myself out of this hole where I haven't been doing good in my schoolwork. And I said, look, there's a couple things we can do, and don't think that I can't sit here and teach you some of the things that you're missing out on. I definitely can. We can definitely teach you ahead of the book that you're learning from in school. I can definitely break it down for 15 minutes at a time every day, so you don't have to study for hours at a time just before a test. It would be smarter that way, and it would actually work your memory better. You would feel like you got a handle on things instead of, crash learning at the last minute. Do a little bit every day, especially if you know what you need to be studying. So we can actually definitely work through this, but you don't have to feel like this is all your fault. And I'm here to tell you, I did not once say the words that you're telling yourself. I said, no, but I feel like that. I get it. You feel like that. But I didn't say those words. You're saying those words to yourself. You're hurting yourself. You're beating yourself down. And you may not feel so great because you don't have all the answers. But that doesn't mean you're stupid by any means, because you can learn things that I can't learn. And I'm not saying that you're not at all creative. You are definitely very creative. You just have a tough time with words, and that's not a problem. We can work on that. That's a vocabulary thing. That's not something that can't be learned. And so by the end of it, she'd finally cried it all out. It had gotten off of her chest, but she felt better that she had relieved all of this pressure she'd built out inside of her head about how all these people thought she was useless and worthless and not capable of learning. And she felt better about the rest of the day ahead. She felt better about going through those corrections that we were working on because she suddenly believed in herself again. So that's one small example. I've been through that too. I've been through ups and downs in my business, and I feel like, sometimes I want to tell people, I want to tell the world that, you know what, y'all need to take small businesses seriously because we are fighting for our lives here. We're trying really hard to sell a good or a service, and it would be so easy, right, to go off and work for somebody else, and if they fail, it's their fault. It's not our fault. It's no responsibility there. But for us to take our lives into our own hands and try to create a product or a service that is worthy of asking you for your money in exchange, right? And then for some people to take that, for granted. I hesitate. You see that? My throat chakra kind of closed up for a second. For people to take that for granted, for people to test you out on a daily basis, to try to get, your feedback, your love, your caring, your support, your compassion on a daily basis, but have no intention of paying you for the work that you do. That is very disheartening, and it makes me wonder why I even put myself out there to help these people when I know for a fact they're just going to listen for a moment. It's going to make them feel good in the moment, and then go back to doing their own thing. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you so you don't go back to your own thing. I'm here to teach you how you can keep your motivation up, how you can feel better about yourself, and keep building your self-confidence in the face of all these people that are telling you you're no good, or are poking holes in your idea or the way you give your services, comparing you to 1,000 other corporations that do the same damn thing. It would be easy for me to tell you that, you know what, I would love for everybody to consider the fact that when they hire a small business to do the work for them, they're essentially putting food on the table for these people. And while you may not think it's your job or your responsibility or your concern at all whether these people eat or not, if you do say you're going to hire somebody, that is potential income. And when you back out at the last minute, and when you fail to pay, or you decide, to drag on and pause the intended engagement, it kind of causes chaos in those people's lives, especially if they're just starting out, if they're small businesses where they're, just trying to make their way for the first time. It is difficult. So as much as I would like to say, hey, I've been in those ups and downs, I've been in situations where I had $3 to my name, waiting for the next client to come in because they've scheduled, a session with me, but they have not paid up front because I believe in you speaking with me first and then you paying. I understand you going through tough times, but I'm also going through tough times, but it is not your concern. I've been through those moments and those burdens, and I feel badly to say, hey, you know what? You're causing me not to be able to eat because you're wishy-washy about whether you want to actually live your life a different way or not, if you want to learn about, a different way to manage your addiction or to overcome this infidelity that's been plaguing your brain for so long. I know I can help you, but just because you're not ready to get the work done doesn't mean that you're not affecting me somehow. All of your hemming and hawing actually affects me, and I feel some kind of way about sharing that because I don't know if that's okay to share that burden or not. I don't know if that's okay to let people know, hey, you know what? You're hurting me by the way you do things. And as much as I teach boundaries, this is a business. This is something I chose to do for myself. So how is that okay to unburden myself? How is that okay to let people know, hey, you know what? The way you treat me is not okay. The way you treat my business is not all right. Because I do the same thing when it's a corporation. I can go into Cotton On 10 times and look around and browse around and think about, okay, well, do I need this? Do I not need this? And is that to say that every time I walk in the door that they're looking at a potential customer and that I'm affecting their sales by walking out every time? No, that is also my choice. So where does that line happen? Bottom line is, yes, when you share the workload, when you share the weight of whatever's in your hands, when you share the time commitment of working inside the house and cleaning up the house and doing laundry, stuff like that, when you share those things, it is less heavy for you. So why do we hesitate so much to unburden ourselves and let people know, hey, I'm struggling a little bit. Hey, I'm having a tough time. Hey, my business isn't doing very well. I need your help. Why is it so frowned upon? Why is it so easy to judge when someone says, oh my God, you know what? I'm struggling. I've seen people who will happily put up, a GoFundMe page because they're really struggling in life. And they've mustered up the courage to let the world know, hey, you know what, I'm having trouble. Please, by all means, if you have it in your hearts to give, if you have it in your wallet to give, please give. Or if, someone wants to point out the conflict in this area and that area and all the areas, if they go on a cancer run, if they go on, a fundraising campaign for some other business, it's okay. But when it's a personal thing, when it's your friend and their business, when it's a single mom that's trying really hard to provide for their family, why is it such a judgmental situation? When it's a mental health thing where you're really contemplating suicide and you want to open up to someone, anyone, someone you trust, but you're so terrified that they're going to tell you, oh, that's nothing, it's not a big deal, stop making a big deal of stuff. How are you ever going to feel like it's okay to unburden your soul, to let people in enough to see who you are and what you deal with? This is why mental health is so important. Because yes, many hands make light work. But when it comes to your feelings, your innermost thoughts, not just anyone can help. You need to find the people that really do want to understand, are willing to put their prejudices and their belief systems aside to hear you out and let you just be yourself for a moment. I hope that makes sense, you guys. There's a lot here to unpack, and I'll probably continue into the next episode as well. But many hands make light work, and that works for physical things. Why does it not work so easily for emotional and mental things? Just a thought. I'll catch you again next time. Bye.